As James Russell Lowell said, "The foolish and the dead alone never change their opinion." People get stuck. They become so dogmatic. They become so convinced that they're right. And that feeling of being right gives them a sense of self-worth. And I'm telling you right now, with compassion, because I want to see you win, valuing yourself for being right is a trap. Thinking of yourself as smart is a trap. And I get it, man. I know how good it feels when you're right, when you had the right idea and it goes out and it wins. That feels so good. But if you can recognize that over time, it can only paint you into a corner, because the world changes. The world is adapting. The very thing that makes humans the ultimate apex predator is that we adapt. Charles Darwin said, "It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but rather the most adaptive to change." You've got to be willing to change. You've always got to be willing to seek out disconfirming evidence. You've got to hunger for it. You've got to want to be proven wrong. You've got to literally invite people into your world that are going to point out flaws in your thinking, because your thinking has already taken you as far as it's going to. So if you want to get farther, if you want to get to that next level, you've got to stop valuing yourself for who you are, what you think, how smart you are, when you're right, when you're wrong. All of that is irrelevant. You've got to value yourself entirely on your willingness to admit that you're wrong. You've got to value yourself on your willingness to learn. You've got to value yourself for your willingness to sit humbly at somebody's feet and seek their wisdom. To not try to be the hero, but instead to try to be the one that collects the knowledge. When you can flip over into that, when you can value yourself for a willingness to stare nakedly at your own inadequacies, you'll start to make progress in life. But no matter how far you've got, no matter how much you've won, no matter how certain you are, no matter how much the things you've done in your life have proven to be correct, as Charlie Munger says, you must force yourself to consider arguments on the other side. You can always reject them. You can always look at it and really think about it and say, at the end of the day, it's just not correct. But when you're trying to hold on to your ideas simply because they're your ideas, or simply because they worked in the past, or simply because you like them, you will fall into a trap of dogma, and you'll no longer be able to see fresh ideas and move in new directions. But if you're willing to acknowledge that this world is constantly moving, it's ever changing, the only thing true about the future, always and forever, is that things change. And if your thinking doesn't change, you'll never be able to keep up. So if you want to do something extraordinary with your life, step number one, always seek out that disconfirming evidence. Always look at arguments from the other side. If you're able to do that, then you'll always be able to stay ahead of the curve, and aging won't be a problem, because you're going to stay fresh in your mind. You become invincible when you bend and not break, and that's what this kind of mindset will allow you to have. So if you want to win, stop thinking about how you're right and start asking how you're wrong.